Charlie and I have a very strict policy, which I would say has kind of affected our communications lately, where we'll be in the middle of just a doggone good conversation, comic book geek nerd esque related, and one or the other of us will fucking pump the brakes like we're on lap 87 at NASCAR, and there's a pileup on turn 3 coming up, and it's because we don't want to give anything away when it can live here, right? Am I lying, Charlie? No,
there have
I
been
am
many
not
times
lying.
where you've told me to shut up, and I just assume it's to save it for the show, and not to just hurt my
you know what?
feelings.
You can make that assumption just to get some sleep at night. That's entirely fine. And I would say that probably 50% of the time that's totally true. So, I did not follow my own advice this time, and I did bury the lead a little bit. And boy, oh boy, was I! Ooh, I had a little fear living in the back of my mind that Charlie was going to steal my topic because of the crumbs that I fed him. And I don't know if you automatically
It's
know what I'm
terrible. A lot of
talking
times,
about.
if you mention something, I won't use it as a topic because
All
I'm
right, well,
afraid that it'll be.
you're a bigger man than me because I would steal your topic like fucking Robin Hood stole in the forest. And I would end up giving it back. I'm like, oh, look what a good guy I am. So, I had put this out to Charlie, and it was, kind of like a meme, maybe meme material waiting to happen. But it was more of a, hey man, pick your chin up type moment. Like if we were basketball players on the JV court, like that video that got famous, I was going to be the guy that picked Charlie's chin up after maybe he missed some foul shots or whatever the fuck happened in that video. And I said, hey man, whenever Charlie, being the man in question, whenever you are questioning yourself, if ever you are questioning the road that you're on and thinking, you know what, maybe you know where I'm going. Maybe the road I'm on doesn't have my happy ending. Maybe the road I'm on, the path that I'm
Every
traveling,
hour of every day.
maybe there's two. Maybe I picked the wrong direction. Maybe I should not continue down this particular path, this rocky road. I would come back and say, every time you feel that way, just remember that Taika Waititi, the Oscar-nominated sumbitch, who is a hero to everyone who is a fan of comic books, people who were completely disenfranchised with Thor, with who thought Guardians of the Galaxy had no place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that thought new voices should just zip it up and walk away and save it for a rainy day. Just remember that my man was in Green Lantern.
Borderline unapologetically. He was in Green Lantern, and he let us know.
Any kind of apology, written, verbal, implied, or otherwise. I've gotten nothing from him apologizing.
Just look at him looking at that Green Lantern ring like a real nerd.
And he straight up lied to my man saying, oh yeah, that outfit looks really good. That's a lie. Come on. He look at him. He's actually, you know what? That look in his face actually does kind of look kind of questioning some choices maybe that had been in place. But that being said, now the reason why I actually took it upon myself.
Why would you endure Green Lantern?
I put myself through the experience of watching Green Lantern. I was not forced to. Nobody had a gun to my head. I sat and I watched it all the way through. And I did it though because I watched, and we didn't talk about this very much. We didn't really speak about
clip finally.
Okay, good, but we didn't talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths really very much at all.
I'm
so
still getting through it inch by inch, but
go
crazy. I think I heard all the broad strokes.
for the 0.001% of anyone who's interested in this show, who are unaware, so Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, and you had the Arrowverse kind of exposed to Supergirl and Batwoman and Flash, and naturally everyone from Arrows, but Legends of Tomorrow and Black Lightning, and they really all kind of did come together in like a soup, so to speak, of
Soup du
storytelling.
jour.
Yes, a woman. I apologize for that. We can edit that out later in post.
We can. Live, baby.
But we get Diggle being clearly, to me, clearly, I don't think there's any question, Diggle is now Green Lantern. You get the ring coming down. Again, it's purely
so cool.
It's purely implied. Don't get me wrong. Like, there were no credits, there was no press release sent out or anything like that. But to me, I don't think there's any way to interpret it other than Diggle is now Green Lantern. So I do wonder what that ends up meaning if we're going to get now.
What's awesome is
Green Lantern is going to segue, Green Arrow rather is going to segue into a Green Lantern series, or he's now going to be Green Lantern in certain other things where we have the crossovers.
Yeah, well, there's a couple really cool things that they set up. There's a bunch of rumors I read and I saw this week. The big thing is Diggle is fully anticipated to show up in the new Superman series because the character is moving to Metropolis and he's bringing that ring with him. Also, the reason the producers have never full-on said the word Green Lantern, even though they now have footage from the Green Lantern Ryan Reynolds film, in a few episodes they popped up once kind of the world got reconfigured. But also it's been confirmed that the HBO Max series does in fact exist in the Arrowverse, or the Berlanti-verse, I think some people call it. But it's its own world. So it's not the Prime CW universe. I think it's Earth 12 that it exists in.
Like, what does even any of that mean anymore? You like need a fucking Venn diagram when you sit down in front of your TV with your remote to know, like, okay, well, this exists here or there. Like, give me a fucking break.
I think though that what they accomplished with Crisis is they finally have it that, like, if you're on the CW, now this is my understanding, someone correct me in the comment section or comment on the show when it's up. My understanding is that all the main characters are now in the same universe. Supergirl is the city across from Flash.
They purely rebooted the at least the Arrowverse has a reset button as a result of
like Queen Mansion is back and all that good stuff. But nonetheless, that's all existing in the same universe. Now, if you're not on the CW, my understanding is. So we're in a different Earth than the CW Earth. So HBO Max's series is going to exist in its own universe. So there may be a Superman and Batman one day, but they won't be the same Superman and Batman from the cinematic series, from the movies rather, and won't be the same from the Arrowverse. So crossovers are possible, but what's really cool about that for me is that John Diggle gets to be CW's Green Lantern in whatever ways that means.
Yeah.
So they're not that you said yuck?
I said yeah. And then I caught a glimpse of myself looking like a total mouth-breathing idiot. So we're going to go ahead and put some kind of image there. Maybe Antonio Banderas or something.
What about me kicking my desk so often it looks like I'm in a random earthquake every few moments? But that's
you
fun.
are like the horse that everyone gets warned about walking behind because they're going to get kicked across the fucking barn.
I'm sorry, are we fucking in the Apollo? Is this like roast night? I thought we were talking about Green Lantern. Green Lantern. Donald popped back in the chat. He said that his son Jack said the last name of Diggle's father is Stewart. So good old Diggle Daggle is I don't know his first name. His last name's but this is a really cool
I think it's
story.
John Diggle, but
So he's just straight up John Stewart, which is freaking awesome.
if anyone's gonna be right, it's gonna be young Mister Jack because a more studious, brainy child I don't think I've ever encountered in my life. So, yeah, no, if I'm gonna believe anybody, I would believe Jack.
But I think it's and I'm curious how you think about this because
Hmm.
ultimately someone could say that these kind of multiple universes is it lazy, is it a way to avoid things? I personally have really appreciated it as far as my occasional heavy interest in the Arrowverse. It comes and it's goes. I'm not religious to any show anymore. Slight earthquake on my camera. I'm not killing myself to be up to date on everything. Crisis is something I want to check out, and I'm like halfway through it, but I've
Right.
seen all the spoilers. I like the fact that like Black Lightning got to do its own thing for a while, and now it's
Yeah.
tied in. I like that Supergirl kind of established its own thing, or Constantine that was on another network got brought
Mhm.
into Legends. I think it's one of those situations where I'm very I don't want to say forgiving, but the truth is it's like I almost
That's
prefer
definitely
it.
not true.
I don't want stuff to always be completely tied down, although it obviously is easier to not have
Right.
everything live in the same universe. What's your
Yeah,
instinct
it's much easier,
when we
sure.
start talking about hundreds of episodes a year that
Mhm.
are happening in the same universe? If that happens from Jump Street, again, those questions pop up. Every time something major is happening, why isn't Supergirl going to show up in
Sure.
Flash's city? As especially considering it's across the water.
And
Gorilla
also, she's
Grodd or
Supergirl,
whoever.
so everything is really just a short flight
That's a
away.
valid point. I don't know why I made that new proximity. It's like, now what are they going to do? The girl who can go like supersonic.
Mm, I don't know. I'd like to fight that giant robot monster, but
It's
it's like
across
15 minutes
water.
away.
Uh,
Eh, um,
I love the idea of her
yeah,
taking the
no,
bus. Supergirl, are you on the? I didn't fucking. You know how hard
I
it
got
is
a
to
monthly
run.
pass. I haven't really been used that. I want to make sure I get my money's worth. Yeah, you know what? I have mixed feelings about it, in particular because you do have shows who that are on different networks, um, but because they kind of share the same grandparentage, so to speak, it's difficult to tell a story. How do you tell a Batwoman story that's occurring in Gotham and never refer to Metropolis or Star City or I don't really know. You do, I think, have to on some level account for characters that do exist within your universe, right, within your world. There are certain workarounds that you can do to get past all that stuff if like you're a dedicated storyteller, absolutely. um, but it really all depends. And you know what Eric says that Eric, one of our viewers right now, he says that like the comic books, which obviously is the source material for a lot of it or the inspiration, that characters have their own shit going on. And yeah, no, I totally agree with Eric. But it's also a question of kind of like priorities. So if you're Spider-Man, all right, let's take it to the Marvel Cinematic
Go
Universe.
on.
That is so Charlie is Spider-Man. Um, yeah, and granted, he's continually getting told to like be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Stay in your lane, kid.
It's the first thing I don't do, by the way.
Or no, even legitimately. Well, actually, the first thing you do is throw your keys to somebody else because you apparently don't like driving, but that's neither here nor there. So you have a character like Spider-Man, or even more the case, when she was live, R.I.P. Black Widow or Hawkeye, and Hawkeye makes references to it in the final few installments, where like I'm a guy with a bow and arrow, and there are fucking gods and super soldiers and geniuses flying around. What the fuck am I even doing here? So yeah, if I'm Hawkeye, or even if I'm in the latter angrier iteration of Hawkeye, and I'm running around chopping Japanese gangsters' heads off just because I got to fill my day,
Because
my
I need a
family.
dope montage
Yeah, sure.
before I
Yeah, I
film
need a
my
new
music
name and
video.
costume. Get some tattoos. I got nothing going on. My wife, my kids are gone. I can't be on the farm anymore.
He also had
Anyway,
a convertible, definitely, and a new girlfriend.
I mean, look, think you gotta get through the day, bro. Come on. So if you're that character, if you're that skill level, then yeah, unless you're rolling through with a posse, then know your abilities and stick to your own shit. You're like, you know what? Even better, to go with one of your perennial favorites. If you're Daredevil, right? And there's some shit going on the fucking moon. If
Yeah,
there's some Kryptonians
I'm
duking it
gonna.
off the
Yeah, I'm gonna
moon,
fight
and
these
yeah, I
mobsters.
understand that they're two different comic book companies, but DC and Marvel have crossed over in the past, and they
That's
will again.
true. That's true. Our
If
boy
there's
Craig
some
is holding
moon
on tight to that graphic.
if there's some moon level shit going on and you're fucking there blind as a bat and you're you're sonic waving all over town, you know what, then that's what you're gonna do. Deal with Kingpin because that's your level shit. And in our real world, police on different levels do the very same thing. You may have a circumstance where there are state troopers and there are city police, and personally, we have friends and family on both sides of that line, right? And there may be very many circles that intersect, right, where they're able to do certain things together. But for the most part, they stay in their lane. They contend with what they have to contend with. So
Yeah, cops
I'm
handle
not,
cop shit. Firemen handle fireman
yeah,
shit. State
or
troopers handle the
or like
highway.
state shit
SWAT team handles
handle state
SWAT
shit.
shit.
Yeah.
DEA handles. Yeah,
You if you apply that to the comic book world, then X-Men do X-Men shit, Avengers do Avenger shit, Justice League does Justice League shit, Defenders do Defender shit. I've got no problem with that. It doesn't require like a fucking thesis that says here's where everybody was at any given moment. You can throw little Easter eggs here and there and satiate people like Charlie that demands the answers at any given moment.
where's
Absolutely.
Daredevil?
But for the most part, where's fucking Punisher? Yeah, Punisher's he was polishing his fucking rounds. Like what? Where do you think Punisher was? There was fucking gods from another fucking dimension. Where what was he gonna do? What was he gonna do exactly? Blow them up?
I
No,
just
he was.
love the idea of like Punisher shooting at Galactus, who's still in
Yeah,
space. Just
take
like,
this.
I'll show
So
you.
so
Daredevil's
per
punching a wall. Take
I
this
don't.
and that and this and one of
He's just
these.
he's like Robin Hood Men in Tights, just chopping away at the fucking block. You're like
The only
that's not
difference is
that's not
instead
me.
of cutting back to him and like the trees almost cut down, he's slept with 4 women and then like abandoned
Yeah,
them because he has to beat up
yeah.
the brick wall again.
That's his version. So if he was blinking in the Marvel comic book universe, like he'd be too busy smashing out like every
The
intern and
crossover I never knew I
yeah,
needed.
yes,
Blinken and
yes.
Daredevil saved the
It's
MCU.
begging to happen. But anyway, when you do have those world threatening events, and this is a callback certainly to your topic, which unfortunately seem to happen all the freaking time,
Hourly.
then yes, you do have to account for literally every person who has worn spandex and done some vigilante shit. Yes, then in those circumstances, 100%, 110%, dare I say, you need to account for every damn body.
You
And
know
I
what's
don't
good about
care
it though
if
is
they're on different networks, on different nights of the week, if they occurred in different decades. I do not give a shit. I need to know where everybody was. Otherwise, I'm yanking your superhero card because you are not worthy of it.
yeah, it just I think good writing is always the answer. So I could imagine very much the Arrowverse. Let everyone write. You know what always? This is going to sound like out of complete left field, but it always amazes me what the team at South Park does, where they
That
start
is a
they
that is a departure. All right, take us
they
home.
the day their show is on Wednesdays, Thursdays they come into work and they say, okay, what are we going to do on the next episode? We have a week. And then they get some ideas, they get it, and they get ideas. The animation starts right away. So for me, it's like these big shows that are clearly very, very popular, very, very successful. Arrow didn't get canceled. Arrow, they decided that they had kind of done everything they've wanted to do. People want to move on. That's the dream for shows. And the fact that they were like, okay, well, we have this whole other thing that we're going to do. Let's do Superman. Let's do this. Let's do that. Ba, 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 ba.
Mm-hmm.
What's amazing is they now have this opportunity to be like, everyone go write your script. Batwoman team, do your Batwoman stuff. Supergirl people, do your Supergirl stuff. And
Sure.
then have the meeting of like, hey, what happens in Black Lightning this year? Well,
Right.
his neighborhood gets attacked. It's a very like personal struggle because it's his cousin. Great. What's going on in Supergirl? Supergirl's on the moon fighting moon rocks. Great.
Mm.
What's back? And you see where like a natural,
Moon rocks.
you see where a natural crossover,
Supergirl team, you're fired.
you see where a natural crossover can happen,
Yeah.
and then
But
you
that's why
exploit
those
it.
crossovers should be special,
But it
type
also
of
gives you this great thing
once in a
where,
lifetime type events,
yeah, but
even
it
though they
also
happen once a year.
it gives you this great opportunity that if on Superman when that show comes out, if there's a huge world-ending threat and it's like where's Kara? Kara's on the moon. And then on Monday nights or whenever Supergirl's on, fucking Supergirl's on the moon. Like
Yeah.
so you can with
Yeah.
good writing and good communication because it's not the
And
same people
planning.
writing every script, you know what I mean?
Planning. That's why people like Feig, um, like they're worth their weight, in more than gold, even something more precious. Whatever
Platinum?
translates to ounces for billions,
Oh,
because
okay. Oh,
that's what it does work
Vibranium.
out to.
The Vibranium.
There you go.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
only
no,
one Black Panther.
I agree with you.
Ain't
I
T'Challa.
completely agree with you there. Um, but it really does also come down to like being interesting. You exist in your characters who you've birthed onto the page or onto the small screen or big screen. They they're deserving of being put to good use. It's the analogy that I'll throw out there, and
We
again,
almost made it.
I
We
know you
almost
suck.
made it through an hour
I
without an
I got the
analogy from
warning. I
you.
got the warning, and this is my analogy of the day, kids. So you're playing Madden, let's say, just the newest iteration, the one that showed up under the Christmas
The
tree.
one that's the
You're
same as the
playing
last
Madden,
8 years.
and you decide, you know what? I'm going to make. You're just bad at it. Don't put your thumb down. It's hung
Also
up.
true.
So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm going to make, in essence, Superman in the NFL as a running back.
I'm back in.
He's 99 in everything. I'll name him Kal-El just for shits and giggles. Um, and like I'll make him a 99 even in stuff that like kicking, like shit that he doesn't do. He's a 99 across the board. I'll pay him every fucking penny. Um, and look how great he is, and you give him every accessory. You'll give him the black visor because that's the coolest thing that there is.
And secret
Uh,
identity.
but then you make him third on the bench, right? He doesn't even play. That's what they're doing to a very large degree. When you have these wonderful characters, interesting characters, involved characters, but you don't put them in an environment where they can do their shit. Motherfucker is a 99 in kicking, and he's a running back, that's wasted ability. Where's that reference from? There's like the greatest like the greatest sin of all time is wasted talent. That's what that is. Like you're throwing it away. It's not wasted. It's not lost. It's never used. So you have 99s sitting deep on your bench. If you don't get a chance to play with, take them out, give them some air, whip them around, play with them a little bit. That's what God wanted, right? You gotta put them out there to be used. And if you can't use them, if you lack the imagination, well, you know what? Then fucking take the lock off the toy box, start handing them out to your friends and the people that you trust. Say, you know what? I can't do shit with this. You do something with it, and let them go ahead and do so. And that's when you have things like spin-offs. That's when you have things like side projects. That's when you'll really get the explosion that everyone keeps on talking about. Because look, when people talk about, and these are know nothings in my opinion, when they say, oh, the comic book saturation, that is straight up bullshit. Because there is so much material in the quote unquote comic book world that has still to this date not seen the light of day. We've seen a lot of regurgitation, I'll give you that. Well, or we've seen a lot of repetition, I should say. We've seen a lot of retreads, but we haven't seen, I think, we've only seen the tip of the iceberg in terms of content that derives from the four color funny books that we all love. And that's all I got to say about that.
Beautifully said, slightly more beautifully said. You can find us online at US Comics HQ. This show is available as a podcast on iTunes, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, and wherever you want to listen to podcasts. Guess what? We will be there. We are at US Comics Cast. That is our name on all the good podcasty action. Our website, www.uscomicshq.com. Coming soon. Lots of interactions, lots of news, all that good stuff.
Social media.
But, before I say goodbye, we're going to end this show like we gotta end this show, like we need to end the show with some juicy delights. Take us out, Bad Mary.